How's it going, everybody? My name is Justin. This is Jody, and we are Board Game Perspective. And today we're going to give you guys some quick reviews of Divvy Dice, Crosswords, and Magic Money. So let's go ahead and take a look at these games.
All right, so first let's talk about Divvy Dice here. So this is published by Stronghold Games, and it's a roll and write. And you got the dry erase markers where you can write on these cards. There's bonus cards and scoring cards. And so everyone's going to be kind of purchasing some cards from the market, and you're going to be completing a 3x3 grid. And in that grid, you can determine how many bonus cards you want to buy or scoring cards. So obviously the scoring cards are going to help you score points at the end of the game through various things. For instance, like if you have a row and a column that has all completed cards or colors, so different ways to score. And there's also bonus cards which will help you throughout the game. For instance, you can use a bonus card to add or subtract one from a die roll, stuff like that. Yeah, it was a decent game. What did you think about it?
I thought it was alright. It was, for a little game like this, it was a little bit kind of hard for me to kind of wrap my head around, all the different things that we could throw into it, because as you get into, whether you're doing the point cards or the bonus cards, trying to figure out how those things are going to work together was a little bit challenging, but also kind of a fun little puzzle to kind of put together too.
Yeah, so I'm that nerdy factor. I like lists. I like checking off things. So I actually really kind of had fun because like your cards, you have to complete the card, but once you complete it, there's that nice little box where you can check it off. That was just of my own. Just had fun.
That doesn't excite me in the same way. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh yeah, but anyway, so the name suggests Divvy Dice. So basically, what that's referring to is if the active player rolls their dice and they don't like their roll, they can re-roll their dice. And when they do that, every other player, the passive players, can choose to use that roll. So that's what that means with divvying up. So you're kind of divvying up the dice. So the active player has to choose whether they want to keep it all for themselves and not re-roll, or divvy up the dice and re-roll. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it was a nice, decent, average roll and write. Yeah, so that's Divvy Dice. Check it out. Stronghold Games.
Stronghold Games. Up next, we are going to take a look at Crosswords. Okay, so this one it was fun, but also it was, as it says, it's brain-boggling on the box. Brain-boggling. It's literally like, what you're trying to do here is you've got this 3x3 tray that you're going to be placing these discs in that you're writing on. And the way that you decide what you're actually putting into the tray is that on the sides, it's going to basically be like coordinates, where you've got 3 cards on top and 3 cards on the side, and where they intersect, that's where what you put in the tray has to meet the parameters of both of those cards. Now, it can meet one of them completely, but it has to meet the other one at least partially. It can meet them both completely, but it has to meet one of them completely for sure, and the other one it has to meet partially. So it's very fun, but when you get the wrong cards out there, it gets really challenging.
Yeah. The very first round we ever played, I think we started out with some harder or more difficult cards because the other rounds were a lot easier. Because when we first started, we're like, oh my gosh, we cannot think of anything. But we just happened to start with a few harder categories. But like, so for an example, you got like the column, if it says musicians or bands, and the row says plants or animals, I think was one. So if you write the Beatles, that satisfies the row and the column. So that would work. And then there's also ways where you can,
So if you've got the one, like we said, if it has to fulfill at least one completely, and then the other one can be partially. So there was another example where it was a boy's name and a color. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
And so a boy's name and a color. And so if you intersect that, the boy's name was Fred. That fulfills that completely. But within the word Fred was the letter red. So it was really So it was really kind of interesting trying to play that little game with it for sure.
Yeah, I think we had a good time. Especially after we made it to that first round, because we just started with very, very hard cards. So growing up, like I loved playing Scattergories. I always loved that game. So this kind of gives me a little bit of Scattergory feel, a little bit, but definitely this one felt more difficult, more brain bending, as the game suggests. Because you got to think of different categories together instead of just everything starts with one letter.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So this was a really fun but still kind of a challenging game if you've got friends that want to have a good time, but also they're willing to kind of let their brain work a little bit. This is a lot of fun. So this is crosswords from Indie Boards and Cards. So.
All right. So the last one today we're talking about is Magic Money, also by Indie Boards and Cards. So this is a bidding game. So you are going to be, there's going to be some creature cards. What do they call them? They call them creature cards? I can't remember. A critter card or something like that. So you got different animals that you're going to be bidding to try to get. And on those cards are special abilities possibly, and then also some icons like wings, a left and right heart. And basically at the end of the game, those icons are going to help you get points depending if you have like an odd number or the most amount of wings, or if you have a left and a right heart card together. So that's a way to get points. So basically everybody's going to be bidding over the cards, and the active player is going to be doing the opening bid, which they will write on their public ledger. The public ledger everybody can see. Now on the opposite side of that is the private ledger, where obviously it's going to be private. No one can see what you are writing. And so if you win the bid, then it's announced and that gets put on your public ledger. However, if you do not win the bid, then you write that secret amount on the backside in the private ledger, because only the active player is going to be looking at everybody's bids and will announce the winner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think about it?
So, and when you bid the highest, you'll receive the card, and obviously you'll get the points that are on that card and whatever comes with that. But then, at the end of the game, you have to make sure that you're not the one that has spent the most points or money or whatever to receive these cards, because then you are the greediest player.
Or the greediest wizard.
The greediest wizard,
as
yes.
They will say.
Okay, so you don't want to be the greedy wizard, because basically that means, what? You get nothing, right?
Right, yeah, because in this game, you can actually bid any number. It has to be a real positive number. So you can do anything. However, if you're caught spending the most money at the end of the game, you are basically kicked out of the game and you cannot score points. So there's that, like, I want to bid a lot, but I also don't want to, have the most spent. So, yeah. So it was a nice, fast little game, 3 to 6 player game.
With a creative little mechanism of hiding your bids and all this kind of stuff. So it was kind of trying to figure out, you can see what's on the other player's public ledger. So it's like, oh, they're spending a lot of money there, but I have no idea what's on their private ledger. So, you're kind of playing those games with yourself in your head. So, but it was interesting. It was fun. Not super overwhelmingly awesome or anything like that, but it was a good, fun
decent game.
Little game. So
yeah, if you like bidding games, you might want to take a look at it. We're not super keen on bidding games, but it was decent, and the artwork was cute for sure. So so that is 3 short reviews on all 3 of these games. So yeah, if you guys want to help us out, you can hit that subscribe button and like this video. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching.
See ya.